The drone was a marvel of modern technology, a testament to the advancements in unmanned aerial systems. It was a silent predator, soaring high above the arid Yemeni landscape, its presence almost ghostly against the vast expanse of sand and rock. Equipped with state-of-the-art surveillance equipment, it could capture the minutest details from thousands of feet above. Its mission was simple yet crucial: to watch, to listen, and to feed vital intelligence back to its American operators who sat in a control room thousands of miles away. But on that fateful day, the hunter became the hunted. The skies, once a domain of safety, turned hostile. A plume of smoke, a fiery explosion, and the $30 million RQ-170 Sentinel, one of America's most sophisticated unmanned aerial vehicles, was reduced to nothing more than debris. The Sentinel, a symbol of technological prowess and military superiority, was now a heap of twisted metal and shattered components. The wreckage rained down on the unforgiving desert, a stark reminder of the ever-present dangers in conflict zones. The attackers, Houthi rebels locked in a bitter conflict with the Yemeni government, saw this as a significant victory. They celebrated their triumph, brandishing pieces of the downed drone as trophies, symbols of their defiance against a powerful adversary. This was no random act of violence. It was a calculated provocation, a direct challenge to American military might and technological dominance. The downing of the Sentinel was a bold statement, a message that even the most advanced technology could be brought down. The incident sent shockwaves through the Pentagon and the White House, raising questions about the security and vulnerability of American assets. It set in motion a chain of events that would culminate in a massive military response. The stakes were high, and the pressure to act decisively was immense. The incident threatened to further destabilize an already volatile region, where alliances and enmities were constantly shifting. The Houthis, emboldened by their success, saw an opportunity to escalate their efforts, potentially drawing the United States deeper into another intractable conflict. A decisive response was needed, one that would demonstrate American resolve and send a clear message to the Houthis and their allies. The response had to be swift and overwhelming, crippling the Houthis' ability to threaten American interests and restoring a semblance of stability to the region. Military strategists convened, poring over maps and intelligence reports, formulating a plan that would achieve these objectives without further escalating the conflict. The use of advanced technology and precision strikes was considered, aiming to minimize collateral damage while delivering a powerful blow to the enemy. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts were ramped up, seeking to build a coalition of support and to present a united front against the Houthi aggression. The media coverage of the incident was intense, with public opinion divided on the best course of action. Some called for restraint, while others demanded a strong military response. As preparations for a potential military response continued, the world watched closely, aware that the outcome of this incident could have far-reaching implications. Regional allies were consulted, and international military cooperation was sought to ensure that any response would be effective and supported by the global community. The readiness of high-tech military equipment was checked and rechecked, ensuring that everything was in place for a swift and decisive action. The situation remained tense, a delicate balance of power and strategy, with each side waiting for the other to make the next move. In the end, the response would not just be about military might, but about demonstrating resolve, protecting national interests, and maintaining stability in a troubled region. The incident also sparked discussions about the future of drone technology, the need for advancements in security measures, and the ever-evolving nature of modern warfare. As the global military landscape continues to evolve, incidents like the downing of the Sentinel serve as stark reminders of the challenges and complexities that lie ahead. The downing of the American drone was not an isolated incident. It was a significant event that marked a turning point in the ongoing conflict in Yemen. This incident was the culmination of a series of increasingly brazen actions by the Houthi rebels, who had been steadily gaining ground in their war against the Yemeni government. The Houthis, a formidable force in the region, had been emboldened by their recent successes on the battlefield. Over the past few years, the Houthis had managed to seize control of significant territories, pushing back Yemeni government forces and creating a power vacuum in the region. The war-torn cities of Yemen bore the scars of this relentless conflict, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Emboldened by their success, the Houthis had escalated their attacks on Yemeni government forces, capturing key cities and strategic infrastructure. Their military offensives were marked by a high degree of coordination and tactical prowess, making them a formidable adversary. The capture of these key locations not only bolstered the Houthis' strategic position, but also provided them with valuable resources and infrastructure. This newfound strength allowed them to challenge their adversaries with even greater ferocity. They had also grown bolder in their defiance of the United States, firing missiles at American warships in the Red Sea and threatening commercial shipping lanes vital to global trade. These actions were a clear signal that the Houthis were willing to confront even the most powerful military in the world. The missile attacks on American warships were particularly alarming as they posed a direct threat to the safety and security of international maritime routes. The Red Sea, a crucial artery for global trade, was now a potential flashpoint for conflict. The United States, bogged down in other conflicts and wary of getting drawn deeper into the Yemeni quagmire, had initially responded with a policy of restraint. The American military was already stretched thin, with ongoing operations in multiple theaters around the world. Military leaders convened to discuss the best course of action, weighing the risks and benefits of a more aggressive stance. The cautious strategy was aimed at avoiding further entanglement in a complex and volatile region. Airstrikes were limited, primarily targeting al-Qaeda affiliates operating in Yemen. These operations were designed to weaken terrorist networks without escalating the broader conflict with the Houthis. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts focused on brokering a ceasefire between the warring factions. International mediators worked tirelessly to bring the parties to the negotiating table, hoping to find a peaceful resolution to the conflict. But the downing of the drone shattered any illusions of restraint. The wreckage of the drone served as a stark reminder of the Houthis' capabilities and their willingness to challenge American power directly. It was a stark reminder that the Houthis posed a direct threat to American interests and could not be allowed to act with impunity. The security of American assets and allies in the region was now at greater risk than ever before. The Houthis, emboldened by their recent successes, celebrated their victories and continued their militant activities with renewed vigor. Their defiance was a challenge that the United States could not ignore. The attack demanded a forceful response, one that would send an unequivocal message to the Houthis and the world. The United States began mobilizing its forces, preparing for a potential military retaliation that would demonstrate its resolve. American aircraft carriers and naval ships were deployed to the region, signaling a significant escalation in the conflict. The show of force was intended to deter further aggression and protect vital interests in the Middle East. America would not tolerate attacks on its assets or its allies. The message was clear: any threat to American security would be met with a decisive and overwhelming response. The road to retaliation had been set, and the world watched with bated breath as the situation unfolded. The Houthi rebels, a Shia Muslim group with ties to Iran, had long been a thorn in the side of the Yemeni government. Their presence and actions have consistently challenged the stability and sovereignty of Yemen, creating a complex and volatile situation in the region. They hailed from the northern highlands of Yemen, a region marginalized and impoverished despite its rich history and culture. This area, known for its rugged terrain and resilient people, has often been overlooked by the central government, leading to deep-seated grievances and a sense of neglect among its inhabitants. Fueled by resentment towards the government's corruption and incompetence, the Houthis had launched a series of uprisings over the years. These uprisings were not just spontaneous acts of rebellion, but were well-organized and strategically planned, aiming to disrupt the status quo and bring attention to their cause. Exploiting the country's weak central authority and porous borders, the Houthis managed to carve out their own sphere of influence. They established control over key regions, creating a parallel power structure that challenged the legitimacy of the Yemeni government. The group's ideology was a potent mix of religious fervor, anti-Western sentiment, and Yemeni nationalism. This blend of beliefs resonated with many Yemenis who felt disenfranchised and disillusioned by the existing political system. They railed against what they saw as the corrupting influence of the West, particularly the United States. Their rhetoric often highlighted the perceived injustices and exploitation by Western powers, which they argued were responsible for many of Yemen's woes. Accusing Washington of propping up a puppet regime in Yemen and exploiting the country's resources, the Houthis garnered significant support from those who shared their anti-Western views. This narrative of foreign exploitation and domestic betrayal became a rallying cry for their movement. The United States, for its part, had long struggled to formulate a coherent strategy for dealing with the Houthi threat. Despite numerous attempts to address the issue, a clear and effective plan remained elusive. Washington's initial approach focused on supporting the Yemeni government militarily and diplomatically. This support was intended to bolster the government's ability to counter the Houthi insurgency and maintain control over the country. Hoping to contain the Houthi insurgency and prevent the country from becoming a safe haven for terrorist groups, the U.S. invested significant resources in Yemen. This included military aid, training, and intelligence support aimed at strengthening the Yemeni armed forces. But this strategy had clearly failed. Despite the substantial investment, the Yemeni government struggled to make meaningful progress against the Houthis. The Yemeni government, plagued by corruption and infighting, proved to be an unreliable partner. Internal divisions and a lack of cohesive leadership undermined efforts to present a united front against the rebels. The Houthis, meanwhile, grew stronger, exploiting the chaos and instability to expand their control and acquire increasingly sophisticated weaponry. Their ability to adapt and evolve in the face of adversity made them a formidable force. Some of this weaponry was allegedly supplied by Iran, further complicating the geopolitical landscape. The involvement of external actors added another layer of complexity to an already intricate conflict, making it even more challenging to resolve. The conflict in Yemen became a focal point for regional power struggles, with various countries vying for influence. This proxy war, fueled by competing interests, only served to deepen the crisis and prolong the suffering of the Yemeni people. As the fighting continued, the humanitarian crisis in Yemen worsened. Millions of Yemenis were displaced, facing famine, disease, and a lack of basic necessities. The international community struggled to provide adequate aid, and the situation grew increasingly dire. Despite numerous attempts at peace talks and diplomatic efforts, a lasting resolution remained out of reach. Ceasefire agreements were repeatedly broken, and trust between the warring parties was virtually non-existent. The future of Yemen hangs in the balance, with the hope for peace and stability seeming distant. Rebuilding the nation will require not only a cessation of hostilities but also a concerted effort to address the underlying issues that have fueled the conflict for so long. The international community's role in Yemen is crucial. A coordinated and sustained response is needed to alleviate the suffering and support the country's path to recovery. Only through collective action can there be hope for a brighter future for Yemen and its people.